What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I did just release a new song called Run at the beginning of this month, so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, we had our first town hall of the year, January 16th, 2025, for Splinterlands. And, it was, well, it didn't live up to my probably lofty expectations, but I don't think that I was the only one. In fact, hold on, let me just type something in here real quick. I don't think that I was the only one. I mean, we were looking forward to, Bitcoin's back over 100K. There's some, a lot of just excitement and overall positive sentiment happening around the entire crypto space and the gaming space. And I know that the team is working on stuff, right? That definitely was not anywhere in doubt or in question. But I was just hoping to get a little bit more clarity. In fact, I put out the video talking about, my biggest questions, and I don't know that many of them were answered. I mean, the second one that I had was marketing, and unfortunately, Blaze wasn't even on, which I should have figured from the beginning. He's about 6 hours ahead of the U.S. or 6 to 8 hours ahead of the U.S. in terms of his time zone. So, of course, he wasn't going to be on. He wouldn't be able to talk about it. It was an evening town hall here in the U.S. So maybe that was an oversight on my end. Although I think that it's something that they should have had available or done it earlier in the day if that had been the case. But you know what? Let me not get too crazy into that. We should just jump into the 5 biggest things. Now, again, this is not a summary of the town hall. This is just the 5 things that stuck out to me that I thought were worth talking about. So I'll go ahead and dive into these, and then maybe we can wrap it up with some final thoughts. But I just did want to open with the fact that I was really, really pumped, and we didn't get any of the things that I was hoping for, whether it was timelines, whether it was just, like next week, getting survival mode and all that. But let me not get ahead of myself here. Let's actually talk about timelines. That's the first part. And, Splinterlands team has been very mum on timelines, which, again, has been probably for the better in terms of just setting expectations. But as I was saying, I just want to know, what can we still expect this quarter versus coming out next quarter? And they did deliver on that, right? So to a certain extent. Now, survival mode, obviously I was disappointed because I thought we would get this in January. It doesn't sound like it has a release date yet, but it is being talked about as soon, or maybe this is a better word to describe it, as next, right? This is going to be the next big thing that they launch. So again, this is my take on it based on the fact that the next item here is Land 1.75. Cryptomancer is back from his vacation. He's getting started on work, and he gave Matt a timeline of roughly March. So if that does happen in March, but survival mode is next, then, and it's not happening in January, then I would say that survival mode, again, this is just process of elimination here, there's only 3 months, would potentially be in February, right? So hopefully we can expect it sometime in February. Now, Land 1.75, as I mentioned, is going to be in March. What I didn't include here is validators, and that sounds like it's close. We were told that it was going to be in January. I don't think they're going to hit January, so that's another topic, and I'm not going to get into it here. But the other 2 parts here are new updates. Now, I had been assuming when the Conclave Arcana proposal came out that the set was going to launch in April. And I had been saying, okay, if it launches in April, that means that the presale is probably going to be in March. Well, I believe I heard Matt say, and I actually double-checked it early this morning, say that he's planning for the presale for Conclave Arcana to be in April. And if it's a month-long presale, like we saw for Rebellion and for Chaos Legion, then that means the set actually is not coming out until not March, but May, the month after, right? And so if the set's not coming out, Modern's not rotating until then, it's a whole, I know it's only 1 month, but I'm just trying to level set expectations for everybody because I had been under a different interpretation of how that proposal went. It is not the set launching, but apparently just the presale that is set for April as of this point. And then Glamour, I don't even want to get into Glamour. I thought this was going to come out in Q4 of last year. Now it looks like it's going to come out after Conclave Arcana. The thing is, I can't even, with everything else that they're working on, it's hard to even look at Glamour and be like, yeah, we should prioritize this over the other things, right? But at the same time, it just sucks, right? Because it's one of those things like guilds, like land, like everything else that just kind of keeps getting pushed back. So I do hope that it comes out at some point. It seemed, and I hate to phrase it in this way, but in September, I remember it being phrased as, oh yeah, Glamour's going to be out in a couple of months, right? So now this is talking about pushing that original couple of months time frame to 5-6+ months, right? We'll see what happens after Conclave Arcana, but that's where we're at. So that is the timelines that I have for now, at least on a lot of the major things. Again, mobile app was the other one. They don't have a timeline for that. New player experience, that's ongoing. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the validators, which I'm not going to get into. Although there was an update with validators that, the testing is in. So we're making progress. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just negative on validators. I just don't want to get into it because I don't understand a lot of that stuff, and I don't know what to expect in terms of actual timelines once this testing phase is over, but there is progress there. Okay, number 2, these were 2 different items that were kind of announced as things that they're working on that kind of popped up, right? So they had like 6 items that they were trying to get in for Q1. Now it sounds like they're adding more and pushing, things like Glamour and California set out to Q2. But the first one is campaign mode. Now, this is going to be primarily for new players. It's going to walk them through a bunch of different things, right? Playing battles, setting up your team, even combining cards, right? So there's a whole thing that they're going to have set out for new players to kind of go through on this campaign mode, which we'll be able to do as well. But the cool thing that Matt mentioned is that if they want to expand on this in the future and do something like boss fights or add in campaign modes at a later point for experienced players, that is something that they can do. Now, again, this is all like promises way out in the future, so I would definitely take it all with a grain of salt, but it's cool that they're thinking about this right now and trying to set up the framework for it, because people have wanted a PvE mode for a while, and this at least lays the groundwork for that. Now, there is also going to be a new set of cards. They're calling it the Foundation set. These are going to be soulbound cards. You'll be able to buy them with Glint. I believe it's just like a soulbound set of cards that you can just buy packs for, right? And the idea is that they're trying to give this experience to newer players where these cards are not really that good. Like, imagine like a regular card that's, decently competitive, but then they're going to add, 2 mana to it or double the amount of mana just to make it so that it's not competitive compared to cards that you either buy or win as rewards. But for new players just starting out in the whole free-to-play thing, they can get that and they can be competitive in kind of like the novice league and maybe even in, parts of low bronze. But the idea is that they can just get started with something, go through the experience of winning packs, opening packs, and combining cards all without having to pay anything, right? That's all going to be part of the free-to-play experience. So I do think that is fantastic, and I'm excited to see where it goes. The other thing, and we're going to need to get some more clarity on this, but leaderboard rewards are planning to be set for all leagues again, similar to what we used to have, but now there's no league caps where basically the way that Matt described it, let's say you start your season in gold, well, then you are eligible for the gold leaderboard. So you can actually go as high as you want, and you'll jump into diamond and maybe even to champion, but you'll still be playing for the gold leaderboard. Now, this makes for an interesting thing. And again, I like the idea of it being competitive for people that play in the lower leagues, but my immediate thought is like, this would be so easy to game. So again, we don't know the details. I'm just talking about a way in which I think that you could exploit this, where it's like you just start the season off in bronze, and then if you rent like a max level deck, or you delegate a max level deck, or even just rent choice cards that get you up to diamond or what's that called? Champion. I mean, anybody that has bronze level cards is not going to be able to compete with you, right? Your rating is going to be so freaking high. So I hope that there will be things in there that kind of cap the leaderboard things where it's like, okay, if you reach past a certain point, even if you started in bronze, but you're playing in champion, you really shouldn't be eligible for the bronze leaderboard, right? And then to go back and do it on like a different account next season and win that reward by just delegating cards left and right. I think that can be easily gamed, but if I'm thinking of it, then I'm assuming the team is thinking of it. We don't know the full details for it yet, so I'm just trying to throw out what immediately came to my mind about how it could be gamed. And my hope is that if the team is thinking through all the implications of this, then they will find a way to make sure that they close a lot of those loopholes. But either way, I think that's exciting, for players in the lower leagues that want leaderboards and want to be able to compete at lower levels and have some kind of incentive. The team is trying, right? We'll see what they end up coming out with, but this is better than what we have now, apparently, for the people that have been looking for something at the lower levels. Okay, number 3, we have a confirmed but still TBD new mechanic that is coming with Conclave Arcana. Now, the only thing that we know about this is that Matt said it is something that will synergize with older cards. Now, I don't know what he meant by this, but he did specifically mention wild, right? So it'll obviously be great in modern format because it'll be new and, it'll be part of the modern format rotation. But he also said that it would be a lot of fun with older cards in wild. So I don't know what the mechanic is. I don't even want to speculate on what it could be. But I do like the fact that they are looking at this as an opportunity where even if you play in wild, exclusively, and you may, for example, myself, like if I move exclusively to wild or primarily in wild in the future, if there's cards that I want to get just because they're fun, but buying them at their premium while they're in modern format isn't really enticing. If they are still great, right, then maybe I don't want to wait. And if I can play them and they can be useful in wild, which again, I mean, all cards are playable in wild, but I like the idea. Again, I don't know what the details are, but once we do get that, let's come back to this and see, all right, does it actually synergize with older cards? But I guess I'm just excited about the fact that there is a new mechanic coming into the game. What that looks like, I don't know, but I'm glad to hear it because Rebellion was very underappreciated, in my opinion. It happened. We sold less than 1 million packs. Chaos Legion was just way too overprinted, and people were, sentiment was just not great. This was happening at the tail end of the bear market. My hope is that with Conclave Arcana, you can get more new mechanics in the game that take advantage of not just tactics, which came out with Rebellion, but whatever this new other mechanic is going to be. And I'm excited for that because if we do get it for either the players that are here and sticking around or new players coming in, it should make for a much more fun game. And as somebody who's been playing a lot more in terms of tactics, shout out to Lorcus. I've been, participating in the tournaments that we put on, and whenever I perform well, I get some cool cards, specifically like the summoners. It's fun. It adds a new level of and dynamic to the game, and I do believe that there is an opportunity there for people who don't play as much to really get into it. And hopefully, Conclave Arcana and whatever new mechanic that will be the thing that does get people in. Okay, number 4, a little bit more details on Land 1.75 in March. Now, at the last town hall in December, Matt mentioned that they were going to look into the numbers and see if they would need to change anything for grain consumption or production. Now, again, none of this is set in stone, but he said after taking a look at it, they do not have any plans to change consumption or production when it comes to grain. Now, production is relatively straightforward, right? Like, I mean, they're all producing at whatever production PP that they have, right? And then the consumption is just half of that or however it plays out. But when it comes to other consumption, meaning if they launch things in the future that will require grain, such as if, SPS or SPS, the shard mines or research, or if they even do what I'm going to talk about next, right? Conflict wagons, if that stuff is going to cost grain, it doesn't seem like they're looking at it in the way where it's just like we need to overcompensate for the fact that there's way too much grain out there now. And, I mentioned this on the live stream last night, the kind of reaction live stream that we had. I'm just not worried about grain at all. I mean, I know that there's like a billion or I don't know how many, but there's a lot of grain. There's a lot of grain out there in the ecosystem. But my thought process is this: the utility for grain is going to go up significantly because we're only going to get more areas in which you can spend grain on, and hopefully more, land plots that come online. And a 75% reduction is there's going to be a major impact. Yeah, some people might be sitting on grain for a while, and that's fine, right? If they choose to sell it and dump it on the market, then it keeps the value of grain low, but that will not last forever, right? A 75% having, right, or a 3/4ing, let's call it, is going to have an impact in the long run. And I don't think that we should be worried. I hope the team is not too worried about doing short-term corrective actions of like spiking up the price of grain. So for example, like let's say something in the future costs, it's going to cost 1 wood, 1 stone, 1 ore, and 10 grain. Like I don't want that. If it should just be 1 grain, keep it at 1 grain, right? And the economy will reprice itself accordingly, will rebalance itself accordingly. But that's really all that we have for land right now. Obviously, Cryptomancer is back. We know that they're shooting to have it out in March. So 2 months, hopefully. It's still technically in Q1, so can't be too upset about that. And then lastly, this was in regards to the Nidhogger proposal, which recently did not pass. Now, there was a proposal to change the stats of Nidhogger. It was relatively close. It was over 60%, but you do need 2/3, right? 66.7 or 67%, whatever it ends up being. And what Matt said about just card changes in general, is if a proposal passes, they're just going to make the change, right? And that kind of caught my attention because my thought around card changes and card stats and whatever is that it's up to the team's discretion. And it absolutely is, right? I think Matt did leave enough room for himself to say, like, okay, they're not going to allow just something crazy to happen, right? Let's say somebody wants to come in and nerf a card or boost a card significantly. I mean, first of all, I think the checks and balances of the SPS stakeholders will never allow that to happen. But even still, I think that, the team will still reserve the right if they need to. But even looking at this Nidhogger thing, and again, I don't know if he was saying it specifically about Nidhogger, but just in general, it's just like if the community says they want this card changed, like the team's not going to spend too much time thinking about that, right? It's going to probably be a sanity check and be like, okay, is this exploiting the system in any way? Is this something that's going to break the game in any way? And if it's not, well, hey, 2/3 of the stake-weighted community wants it, and we're just going to change it. So if anything, this almost seems like it's a little bit more encouragement for potential card stat changes or just any kind of changes in game. Now, obviously, the team hasn't honored everything in the past, and again, it's absolutely within their right to do so or to not do so. But again, that was just a surprising comment from Matt. Again, I don't know if he was just kind of speaking off the cuff there, but if you do want to make changes, and you can gather the necessary feedback. I mean, Matt's telling you right there that the team is not going to be like this massive last line of defense. Really, the one and only defense that you need to go through is the SPS stakeholders. And if you can convince them in convincing fashion, right? So 2/3 or plus, then, the team isn't going to fight it unless it really, really doesn't make any sense. So going back to the Nidhogger proposal, shout out to B-Jangles. I know that it was close. Here's the thing. I voted for it, both in pre-proposal as well as during the actual proposal, but I agree with a lot of the sentiment that it was trying to change too much. I think if you were to go back and just reduce the mana from 10 to 7, that would pass easily, right? I think that you could sway 5-6% of the vote, whatever it ended up being, that didn't allow it to pass. I know that there's other changes that, he wanted to make. I think there were like 3 total changes that changed the tactics, that changed the mana, and then there was one other thing that I can't remember, but this stuff can be done in piecemeal too. I know it requires DEC, and burning 100,000 DEC every single time is not going to be great, but I genuinely think that there's still an opportunity for Nidhogger to be changed. For at the very least, like something that I would very much get behind is just reducing the mana cost so that it's in line at 7 mana with the rest of its peers in the Rebellion Legendary Summoner class. But that is really all I have for you guys in this video, or at least in the 5 biggest takeaways that I have. I'm very curious to hear what it is that you guys, took away from this. I know that there was a lot of disappointment. I sensed it in the stream. I saw it in the Splinterlands stream, which, I mean, hey, like that's making it a little tough for the team members. So I mean, I get it because I'm the same way. I'm trying to be constructive here. I hope everybody else is trying to be constructive too. It's more so that I'm just excited, right? I'm excited. I had like an idea of like when I was hoping things would come out. It doesn't sound like it's going to hit those time frames, which, it is what it is. But at the very end of the day, I think there's still a lot of really cool things that the Splinterlands team is working on. And I mean, Bull Run seems to be like very much in full effect. I know alt season isn't here. And so we're coming up. We are coming up to, I don't know about if it's like a deadline, definitely not a hard deadline, but there's going to be opportunities where you're seeing other gaming tokens, right, already start to pump. You're seeing gaming project or just projects in general really start to gain some traction. Again, not in a full-blown alt season, as I don't think Bitcoin is like really entered like full-on price discovery mode. But either way, we're getting to the end here, or the end game, right? The blow off top of the cycle, which again, when I say that, I mean, like, I would expect it within the next 6, 8, 12 months. But, we've got to get some stuff delivered. We like the team just has to deliver stuff. I was looking at it, and I know that there's been a lot of incremental changes that they've had and things that they've put in. So I don't want to diminish that, but I was talking on stream yesterday about, like, was it just, I think it was August when we had the Soulbound reward cards unlocked. That was like a big thing. Since then, we've had a lot of like sales, right? Promo card sales. And I know the auction promo was a good one. And I'm sure that took a little kind of coding and mechanical skills to make sure that they could implement that in. But all the things that we've been waiting for, right? Whether it's survival mode, which we only found out about a couple months ago, land, which we've been waiting for a bit, glamour, which we've been waiting for since, maybe middle of last year. All these things, I really hope that they can deliver them in the time frame that they're saying now, because a lot of them have just continued to get pushed back. And I think we're going to hit the fun part of the bull run very soon. So that is all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.